So just introducing ourselves. My name is Susanna Hardy. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. Thank you all very much for attending. And I will be looking at the sort of the big picture side. Joelle Lazzarato is our Senior Online Marketing Manager. I'm delighted that Joelle could join us today. She'll be pointing out some of the big issue things that you need to have for trade shows, how to optimize them, what the ROIs look like, what the path looks like for engaging your prospects and turning them into advocates and buyers for both virtual and face-to-face. And I'm really delighted that Ava could join us. She is our online video manager. Videos are increasingly important, essential tools to have for in your armory as you look to both face-to-face trade shows of the future and the hybrid virtual events that we're seeing now. A quick word also then on IBT as a company. IBT Online is we're a U.S. company. We've been around for a good long time. We've been around since 2002, and we are 100% focused and dedicated to providing online solutions, online meaning websites and online marketing for for companies who are looking to go international. We're, as I said, a U.S. company, but we have offices in various locations. I know that Joelle and Ava are sitting in Paris at the moment, which is very nice. And we are also very proud to have been presented with the President's E Award, which is the highest recognition a U.S. company can get for making significant contributions. We are also the company that designs something called the Online Global programs. These are programs that have been adopted by many U.S. states as well as several Canadian provinces. And they really are designed to help exporters to make sure that they have the right online tools for their websites, for their online marketing, to really have the right online tools to get the local experience in global markets. So those are the online global programs. They extend from e-commerce to websites to online marketing. And as I said, there are some grants available for quite a few U.S. states and Canadian provinces as well. So that's sort of us. Our agenda today, we've sort of split it up into sort of 5 big areas. I'm going to do a sort of big picture view, a top level view, starting off with sort of trade shows at the moment, what they're looking like, what they have in the past, what they're looking like now, how that's going to roll out in 2022, what are the big thinkers thinking about in terms of these types of events. Then we're going to look at how to optimize both the face-to-face trade shows and the hybrid trade shows. What do you need to do to prepare before, during, and after to make sure that you're recouping all those leads and turning them into clients? Then we're going to have a focus down into the videos that are increasingly an essential part of the tools you need, and probably the single big must-have tool you need for these kind of events. And then finally, I'm going to do sort of a roundup of our strategies of the future, what that means, what are the key takeaways then that we would like you to from this webinar. And then we have some time for Q&A. Please, please, please put your questions into the chat box, and we'd love to have some chat with you later on, share your concerns, and hopefully share our experiences with that. So without further ado, then I'm going to start off and talk about the trade shows, sort of past and present, and what those are looking like. The first thing I think that we want to talk about really is just that trade shows are, it's always said that events are what drives the pipeline of the sales funnel. The sales funnel has to be peppered by events like contacts, meetings, and so on. And events like trade shows are sort of super events for that. They drive the buyer's journey from that first sort of beginning to be aware, then they start considering your product, they start evaluating the product, and eventually then purchase. And the really good thing about trade shows is that they combine the possibility of new clients going from awareness to purchase And then to existing clients, going from the purchase to expansion, purchase to repurchase and buying more things. So that's why trade shows are so important. Yes, they're friendly events when you can look after and take and check out your distributors or whatever. But most of all, people want trade shows because they combine this new potential customers together with the longer term existing clients. If I look now on the next slide, you can see trade shows have been around for a very long time. But one of the things that distinguish any kind of trade show from sort of the local county fair is simply going to be the fact that the trade shows have an international aspect to them. Trade shows have a sort of a bigger than just the little local fair, and that's, I think, what's important. This picture here, by the way, is a picture of the 1851 Great Exhibition of London. And even then, you can see there's lots of different flags and sort of booths and people going from one booth to the other. So it looks remarkably similar to what's going on today at, Medica or the Los Angeles, or the Expo and Global Foods, all the big mega trade shows that we all know. Now, trade shows, if you look on sort of longer term in the last couple of years, certainly, trade shows really had their heyday in the 1990s, and right up until sort of the recession of 2008, 2009, they were seeing very, very strong growth, particularly the international ones. They were growing both in terms of size, number of trade shows, the revenues generated, all kinds of things. And it started, though, to slow. Things started to sort of, they weren't in decline, but that growth rate started to slow. Right around sort of 2010, 2015, right up until 2019. And I think that you could start to see the virtual starting to take some space out of those face-to-face trade shows. But I think there was also beginning to be a trend to say, am I really getting the ROI that I need from a trade show? They're starting to look very expensive. There's and where is my ROI? Should I really be attending all of them? Should I be more selective? At the same time, you had the rise of webinars, of online learning events, even podcasts. So there started to be some competition and be eating into the sort of overall face-to-face trade shows. So again, not saying that it was declining, but growth was definitely slowing. And then, then we had, guess what? The pandemic, 2019. And the pandemic is really an online accelerator in a very major way. So we all know what happened to trade shows in 2019 and 2020. No travel, no public gatherings, no trade show. So major events were canceled everywhere. And without the freedom to stage in-person events, there was a major financial hit as well for these trade shows. I think from March 2020 alone, just for that 1 month, there was something like $14 billion of economic loss, according to the Center for Exhibition Industry Research, because those trade shows were canceled. But at the same time, an absolute explosion of technology and investment as people raced to find new alternatives. And you can see this in the rise of sort of virtual events and the market shares that virtual events took over. So a real race to get in sort of virtual platforms, sort of a digital converging with events. I'm sure that, many of you never expected virtual events to define your 2020 and 2021 strategies, but here we are. And while there's still some drawbacks to producing virtual events over in-person events, there's quite a few advantages as well. If we look at some of the turbocharging these existing trends, the online tools just has really pushed all of this to, as I said, turbocharging it to warp speed. And there's a little quote there from the Gartner Group just saying, the pandemic has fast forward digital adoption by 5 years. I don't know where they get the 5 years from, but definitely these were all trends that were there anyway and have been supercharged by the pandemic. And there are really sort of 5 big trends that moved forward mostly from the with the pandemic. The first was e-commerce, where we saw, everyone knows now that where e-commerce jumped, I mean, even in the United States, e-commerce was up 37% in that. The next is, work from anywhere, and work from home, work from a computer, work from a hotel room. The third would be green, sustainability, climate change, has come to the fore. The fourth is the adoption of AI, and that's a whole separate topic. And the fifth is this explosion of virtual events. So online tools have come to the forefront of companies. They're really keen to make sure that they have the right online tools to deal with these. And the online tools are not just ubiquitous now, but they're also really defining that digital divide that people talk about. Those companies who have the right digital tools, who have the right expertise, the right experience to deal with the world in 2022, and those companies that are lagging behind, that are not yet sure that they have all the necessary tools. Just to give you a quick example and to diverge for a second, if we look at work from anywhere, for example, and again, these are just slides that have lots of charts on them. I just wanted to give you a sort of direction, some of the scale of what it's mean in terms of accelerating, and how the online world has accelerated these trends. If you look at Zoom, for example, Zoom just jumping sort of 200 million to 800 million in 2 quarters. The number of co-working spaces worldwide going, the trend of all these things is so clear. So that's what we mean when we talk about the online accelerator, and clearly in the events world, that is clearly the case. So we now have this situation where we have in-person events, virtual events, and hybrid events. And there's really sort of those 3 things now. The in-person face-to-face events like trade fairs. Virtual events can be anything from portals, online demos, interactive webinars, and even online trade fairs. And then there's a third type, this hybrid, which combines an in-person event with a virtual component. Some of the big ones you might have heard about in the news in the last 12 months have been like Gamescom, TwitchCon, Junction, Empower 21. These are all things that caught the headlines, but they're very good examples of hybrid events that have had big impacts in the last 12 months. Our message really is that hybrid is here to stay. Yes, we want face-to-face events. Face-to-face events allows you to have the need for deeper connections with people, but the advantages of hybrid are absolutely clear. So the FT, the Financial Times, has done a series of surveys in the last 12 months, and it's really interesting because they show that the cancellation of these in-person events have caused companies to rethink a lot of that trade show budget. And that, in fact, many of them are even keen and have had good experiences with the virtual and hybrid events. Just to show you some of these hybrid events which will stay. A lot of trade shows can be critical platforms for networking and lead generation and knowledge development. So that part will continue, but the advantages of the hybrid and the virtual event will definitely continue as well. So we think that some of that, the virtual and the hybrid allow you to reach a wider audience, allow you to also repurpose your content, so you can have recordings of things that you then put out again to other participants and share and repurposing that. So while there's a desire to return to normal, attendees and companies are likely to find themselves continuing to consider virtual events. So canceling the in-person shows forced a lot of people to pivot and provide some kind of online version. At the beginning, this was temporary, but these things now appear to be very much here to stay. not surprising really, the budget's leaned heavily in this direction for the last 12 months or so. That we are seeing some budget now being reallocated to face-to-face, but we are definitely seeing most people still saying that we wanted to continue the virtual as well as the hybrid. If we look at some of the advantages and disadvantages, the benefits of hybrid events seems pretty clear. On demand, you can extend your reach. You can reach out to clients that you perhaps wouldn't have attended the trade show. That boosts the attendance of the entire place. Obviously, it reduces your travel cost. It makes it also a lot more flexible. And reduced travel cost means lower carbon footprints. You can, because of the lower cost, you can measure your ROI, and you're probably going to get a better ROI for that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can have that information sharing. Anything that you produce for the hybrid event can be repurposed in your marketing events. So unlike in-person events, even if you can't attend the virtual event itself, on-demand recordings allow you still to participate and allow you still to reach out to prospective clients and engage with the event in a longer-term perspective. For that, there are still quite a few challenges for hybrid and virtual events, and they all seem to center around basically online tools. Do you have the right event platforms? Some of them are hard to deal with. Are you as a company capable and knowledgeable enough to do streaming? How about filming? The right kind of engagement that we need to do. This is the things that we're going to be talking about in the second and third part of this webinar. But the key really is that the challenges are all rather technology challenges, and they're all about mastering online tools for that. The biggest challenge overall, though, is interactive, high-quality content. The switch from the face-to-face to a virtual has meant that the content has to be better than ever. And people now come to these events and have a short attention span, shorter than even in a trade show. They want to know immediately whether this is going to be of value to them. So, you have to produce captivating virtual event experiences. And that's where a lot of companies, B2B companies or B2C or service companies fall down. And that's going to be the biggest single challenge for a lot of the companies that we're seeing. But it's absolutely key for you things. I just want to leave this section, this sort of overview section here, with just a little quote from one of our clients, which I found very relevant. It's a B2B company. They produce grinding wheels and things like that. And really they were like, well, at the start of this pandemic thing, we used to do 3/4 of our business face-to-face sales. Our salesmen are on the road going to see clients. They're going to a trade show. They're walking around the manufacturing facilities. Suddenly, they're not allowed to do that. So the only way is to swing 100% into online tools. And as the company said very much, very clearly, that's why this website globalization side is so important for us and so key. So that sort of rounds off my section. Before I hand over to Joelle, I think I would like to just ask a quick question for you, really, and that is about the online global programs. Would you like to learn more about those online global programs that I mentioned at the beginning? These online global programs that we have, which are managed that are in tandem by the U.S. states and also some Canadian provinces. Some grants are available for some states, which is always interesting. But if you'd like to learn more about that, if you'd like to see some information, check out our website and so on, we can send you some things. And thank you very, very much for replying to that poll. Right. In that case, there's a couple more polls to come. Thank you for that one. We appreciate your responses on that. So I'm going to close the poll, and I'm going to hand over to Joelle to talk about some of the strategies for that. Joelle?
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Susanna, and great to be here with everyone today. Perfect. Well, diving into that, we talked about content, we talked about how to make this event a success, but I just wanted to step back and really focus on the planning and the delivery of those events. Obviously, getting to the trade show, we know that back in the days, face to face, when you were traveling and getting all of your goods out there for the stand, the logistics that were involved in that, you need to start planning that months in advance, and you should start thinking about your marketing months in advance. This just simply means that so say trade show marketing, absolutely, and with hybrid events, even more so. You want to take the time to really let your prospects, but even your current customers, your distributor, know that you will be at this event, what you'll be showcasing, entice them, getting to book an appointment for you, build that schedule ahead of time, and why not start building some value on your website, on your social media channels, and get people excited about coming to your virtual or in-person hybrid booth during the event when this takes place. So, what we talked about here, I've got 3 elements which I'm going to go into a little bit more detail as we go today, and they are, your channels. So get your channels right. We talk about search engine advertising, social media advertising, reporting and analytics. Get to know your buyer persona. Each event might have a slightly different target. Is it industry related? Is it maybe more region related? Is it a domestic? Is it an international event? Start networking, start linking, and start thinking about who you want to meet, who you want to engage with at that specific event. And then get targeted. And this means set your objective, target your campaign, and monitor your KPIs. Perfect. If we dive into the first, optimize your tools. What tools do you need to get your marketing strategy? You need a website. You need, whether you need a B2C, B2C, or B2G, with or without e-commerce, you need a strong online presence that you'll drive your prospect back to. And this, you could drive them back to a specific product page, or why not a landing page dedicated to the event where people can register and book a meeting with one of your sales representative or with yourself directly. And how do you get your users onto your website? Online marketing. Search engine and social media marketing are 2 very, very powerful tools to allow you to really push this idea and your presence at the event. So ideally, 6 months before the event, and then maybe carrying on for a couple of months, couple of weeks, couple of months after the event is really your window where you've got to play with. So get planning and start looking at your website. We talked about buyer persona. Here I've got an example of your international buyer persona, for example, but here customer is the word. So who are your customer? Who is your buyer persona? So we like to talk about the buyer persona and who they are. And as HubSpot themselves define it, a buyer persona is a fictional representation of your ideal customer, which is based on demographic information and real data about your existing customers. What's important to note, as we said, depending on what kind of event you're taking place or where the event is based, you might and you probably should have more than one buyer persona. So your domestic buyer persona could very much differ from your international buyer persona, and one specific industry persona could very much differ to another one. So it's very important before you start marketing your event, before you start launching that social media campaign, that you do your research, that you understand who your buyer persona are. What do they care about? What are they coming to the show for? What problems are they trying to solve, and what are their challenges? And here I just wanted to put a couple of questions on the screen that you can start asking yourself, get your sales team involved, get everyone on the customer service involved, whoever is facing those customers, and maybe even your distributors. But here I've got an example from L'Oreal, who are frequently cited for how spot on they are with their international marketing. First example here, we've got L'Oreal USA. You can see women empowered at the top of skyscrapers overlooking the city, very powerful. And this is the message that L'Oreal wants to give out to their customers in the US. If we look at L'Oreal Mexico here, slightly different environment. This is a lot more collaborative, a lot more relaxed. And actually, out of the example I'm going to show you today is the only one that also includes men in the picture. So here again, L'Oreal wanted to show a message and an imagery that would relate, or that their customers in Mexico would relate to. The third example here, we've got L'Oreal Brazil. Again, very different. We've got strong women empowered at the in a business environment. But if you look at the background, this is very clear that we are in Brazil, and then is really based on the water and the mountain. But also the messages is different. So here we're talking about L'Oreal is really emphasizing the fact that they have been there for over 6 years to support the beauty with all Brazilians. So it's very inclusive and is a message that really resonate with the target market. And this is just to say that L'Oreal really understood who the buyer persona are in each of these markets, and the messaging and the imagery and all of the marketing is very respectful of that. We cannot talk about buyer persona without mentioning the buyer's journey. This is true for every marketing program, for every marketing campaign. But when we're looking at a short-term campaign, like we said, promotion for an event, 6-8 months, we really need to make sure that we get this right, because we've got less time to optimize and to make sure that we're getting things right. So once you define the buyer persona, you can start looking at their journey. So the buyer's journey, just going back again to the HubSpot methodology, is the active research process that everyone goes through leading up to a purchase or to a decision or to deciding to do business with a specific company. And this is a fundamental part of every marketing strategy, because it really should be a framework that you can use to understand your buyer's persona, their needs, and then provide the information they need at each step of this journey. So whether they are not aware of the event, they're not aware about your brand, whether they're considering booking a meeting with you, all the way guiding them through to the decision stage, which could be after the event. You could be aware, then talking to them throughout the event, providing them with that excellent content that Suzanne has mentioned, and I know Eva will give you some top tips on how to generate that content. But also, the decision, follow up with them, help them convert with the right tools and with the right content type. We mentioned a short time frame. I just wanted to hear, pre-event should cover probably 4 to 6 months, and then again 4 to 8 weeks after the event. So it's quite short. If you run any marketing campaign, that if you look at organic traffic, organic social media building, everything can take a long time. Optimization might take months, even years to really kick in and get you where you want to be. So a short-term boost strategy, really in this case, we would recommend including some paid marketing, so search engine advertising, social media advertising, really to give you that visibility at that initial results that you need to be able to make the most of that short-term promotion. But this is also going to benefit you in the long term. So as we said, a strong website where you bring people back to your domestic website, even better, your localized website if you're doing business in a different market, will support your organic ranking. We know that paid marketing on Google, for example, really helps the organic ranking of the website, because it gives the right signals to the search engine. So this is just an example of a client of ours, some campaigns we've run over a period of time. And here you can really see how our Google paid in blue, Facebook paid in green. We've supported our Google organic growth by implementing some paid marketing strategy, which really work in symbiosis. It really is a synergistic approach. So your short boost campaign for your events will not only allow you to generate all of the buzz around your attendance, but will also support your long-term organic run. So why not? The third element that I really want to mention, and to me this is super important, make sure that you define your goals, you choose your metrics, and even in a short term, continue analyzing and learning. Measuring success means that you can measure your return on investment. But to be able to measure success at the end of your campaign, at the end of your trade show, you need to make sure that you know what you were trying to achieve from the beginning, and then you have the right data to be able to measure that. So I know that this gets into maybe a bit of the drier part of the marketing program, all of that data gathering, analyzing the analytics, but this is so important to make sure that you can get the most, not only after your marketing campaign, but also out of your trade show in general, whether that is in person, hybrid, or virtual. To me, anything that's linked to a marketing campaign is always important to have. And this is just an example. So if you want, for example, if we're looking at clicks back to the website, but if you want conversions, if you want people to book a meeting with you, if you want people to request a demo, at the event or ahead or after the event as a conversion opportunity. If you want sales, make sure that you can track all of this and you'll know exactly what is generating the best results for you. And here I've just got an example just to put this into a little bit more of context. We have here, I've taken, this is social media, is an example of a Facebook, for example, just in terms of, or what I wanted to show you here is that one platform alone can already be segmented into different business objectives, which then can track different goals, and then you will need to track different metrics. So here again, for example, if we're looking at, if we want to grow the brand, we'll be looking at followers, share, but then if we want to improve customer retention, we'll be looking at sharing testimonials on social media. We'll be looking at analyzing the sentiment of the content. So again, very different objectives and very different metrics you'll be looking at. So don't be fooled by vanity metric, especially in social media. Make sure you know what you are trying to achieve and what's contributing to your marketing campaign. Perfect. Right, now we've got goals, we've got KPIs, we know who a buyer persona is, we know their journey, we know what content we want to share with them. Let's get mapping. And this is very, very important because you don't have, as we said earlier, a very long time to promote your event and in a way to get it wrong and be able to tweak it. You need to make sure that on the lead up to event, during the event, and after the event, you have the right content at each stage of their journey. So if someone is finding out about your brand, they're getting to know that you'll be at the event, they get excited, they want to book that meeting. All of that is driven through excellent content, high value content. During the event, you just want to entice them, you want to excite them. And then after the event, you want to provide personalized follow-up that will really lead to that conversion. So each content piece has a specific purpose and the target audience at each of these three stages. And this is just an example again of some content types that you could share with your audiences. So if someone is very much at the beginning of their journey, they might want to see a blog, a webinar, an infographic, just to get to know a little bit more about your products, your company, why they should come to your booth versus someone else's. And this is more if someone, again, is gaining that awareness and building that trust with your brand. But if someone is already maybe a little bit more closer to you, then why not share a catalog so they can start browsing? Why not share a case study so they can get excited? And then at the decision stage, invite them to a demo, share some free trial, send them a quote. Yeah, that is also content. Everything that goes out as part of your brand should be considered content, and everything has a purpose to fit in that buyer's journey, leading up to the event, during, and following the event itself. And how can you keep track of all of that? 6 months can be long. You've got all of your content planned. Content calendar is the key. Here we've got platforms we've been defined. We know where we want to focus on. And this really depends on who your buyer persona is. Do they engage on LinkedIn? Do they engage on Twitter? Is the event doing a promotion on LinkedIn or Facebook that you want to maybe piggyback and get the most out of it? Make sure you decide what platform are important to you, what type of blog or what type of content, whether it's a blog, a resource, a press release, a product highlight, will go out to which part of your audience at what point of those lead up to the event, during and after, and then make sure that you can measure your results. Keep track of what happens when someone engages with your content. Do they come back to the website? Do they click on that call to action? Do they watch that video? What is working? So then you can learn not only from the next event, but also having the time to then do the small changes that will make all of the difference leading up to that so important trade show. And this is just, again, your content calendar could be organized in an Excel spreadsheet, could be organized in your CRM. Really, whatever works for you, just make sure that you have it all planned, you've got visibility, and work with your team to define who should be receiving what at what stage of the journey. So there we go. We've prepared, we're ready. It's time to go. It's time to go live. It's time to go online. Targeted, timely, relevant content to engage your prospect. Really leveraging search engine and social media is one of the most powerful combinations to really allow you to boost your, it's really important to allow you to, apologies about this, allowing you to boost your presence, boost your brand, get people to find you, understand you, and engage with you ahead of the event, and then allowing you to have a very, very productive busy, and ROI heavy event, whether that's virtual, hybrid, or in person. And here I just wanted to share some examples of, we've got some search engine advertising on the left and some social media advertising on the right. And here again, if you've been to one of our other webinars about website localization and international marketing, you've heard us talk about keyword research, keyword optimization, bidding strategies. All of that needs to be taken into account, and all of that will really lead to building the strongest marketing campaign and really make your event a success. So if you have any question about that, we have a lot of resources on our website. Go and check them out, or just get in touch with us, and we'll be more than happy to see, you know, whether we can point you in the right direction.
Joelle, fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm going to, before we turn over to Ava and looking at videos, those essential videos, let's launch another quick little poll just to ask, you know, where everyone is. What are your trade show plans? Are you going to be virtual only, hybrid only? You know, are you going to do all three? What are your plans for the going forward? And I guess what's really interesting is that nobody is saying virtual only or hybrid only. I'd say, at the moment it's very evenly split between face-to-face only and the fourth option, which is, you know, I'm going to be doing face-to-face and hybrid and maybe some virtuals. So there seems to be quite a lot of you still quite towards, well, it's absolutely evenly split. And we have a pretty big panel out there. So a lot of you are still saying face-to-face only for now. And that's very interesting. Thank you very, very much for that. I'm going to close the poll. And thank you for your enthusiastic voting on that as well, and participation in that. I'm going to close this poll and then hand over to Ava, who's going to talk to us about must-have videos. Thank you, Ava.
Thank you so much. As Susanna mentioned, my name is Ava, and I'm the Video Marketing Manager for IBT Online. And today I'm going to be talking about video marketing and video content in general. So video content today is so important, and you need videos for whichever type of event you are going to. We've touched upon hybrid, physical, or completely virtual, but they all require video today, and the more creative, the better. So in this part of the presentation, I wanted to focus on the videos that you need at hand for your events, all events, specifically how to use video content successfully and which type of videos do you need for your online success. And in this part of the presentation, I'm going to take you through the videos needed for before, during, and after your events. And hopefully this should equip you to make your presentations more dynamic and to give more opportunities for engagement and for interaction. So before the event is the time to leverage short social media to capture attention, to spread awareness about your brand and products, and promote your appearance at the upcoming event and promote the upcoming event. The important part here is to stress that social media is interactive and highly dynamic, and your videos should be an opportunity for you to voice those opportunities in your videos to connect, but also connect online with your prospects on their preferred platforms. So the first part is to know that your buyer persona, so you can know which platforms your buyer persona is on. You should be creating content for them on their preferred platforms, reaching them wherever they are. I'm not going to go into detail about the buyer persona. We've touched upon that, but once you have your buyer persona down and you know which platforms they use, you need to think about content according to platform. So first of all, here are some general rules about social media for social media videos. They should always be short, no matter which platform, whether it is LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook, or Instagram, etc. Short and dynamic. Here is your chance more than any other time to make your videos more informal, more interactive, and be more creative. Add your music, add your colors, add your captions, etc. Now, these platforms are social, but not all the same. All these different platforms represent different creative opportunities. Instagram now has its own video tab, a unique video tab within Instagram. So this includes Feed, Instagram TV, and Reels. If you are not familiar with Reels, it is the TikTok of Instagram. It is fast-paced, only allows for 20 seconds, but it can be a really great place to do product launches, for example. Reels is the place that will allow brands to show off their products to people that don't immediately follow them. So it's not like your feed or your stories, which are highly personal. Reels is a very open space, and therefore it is a great opportunity for brands to leverage. LinkedIn, on the other hand, is a more formal platform, and it is the preferred platform for businesses. It is a great platform for you as a company to share your insights, your knowledge in your field, and connect with your potential customers. YouTube can feel extremely overwhelming because it is very, very deep. It has skippable in-stream ads, which play before, during, or after your videos. After 5 seconds, you have the ability to skip them. And it is unique because it allows your company to be found by all viewers. YouTube is by far the most accessible and has the most videos across all platforms. So it's very, very versatile. Moving on, here is this video, which shows an on-screen, which is a potential virtual booth setup. This is an example of an event that we recently attended. And obviously no setup is exactly the same, but you should consider your virtual booth opportunities for video. For these events, you should ideally have 3 types of video, and they don't all have to be playing at the same time, but they should be available throughout your time at the event to be demonstrated when needed. These are recommended videos to have always in pocket, as in fully playing on your booth or available for view if needed. So the first one should be a vision/mission statement video that is short, maximum 2 minutes, that demonstrates or showcases your company's brands and values. It doesn't have to be a comprehensive understanding, but it just demonstrates your company brand through a key speaker, using your brand colors, your logo, etc. Those are the main elements to get across to your audience as they are just beginning to know your company. And here is an opportunity to include one of your key company speakers that gives a big picture view of your company mission. Your second video is a client testimonial. This can be 3 to 5 minutes and is a great opportunity for someone else to vouch for your company, so you have a champion of your brand. For this video, once again, it doesn't have to be highly artistic or highly complicated, but a good thing to include is a short sequence on what the client has benefited from. So your product is in action or cutaway of their product line or something to demonstrate really the results. And finally, we have what we call a action video. This is in a way a thematic video, and it is basically another brand video, but it is different to the vision and mission one because it showcases your company, your brand, or your products directly in action. And I want to show you a few examples. So here we have 2 examples to demonstrate, because the point here is it's not an in-depth or how-to product demo video. It's a highly visual and engaging video that can be going on in the background as you are talking, or you could have a voiceover which helps to contextualize and situate your product or your services in its industry at its time. And this is a great visualization of your work, and not much text or voice is needed here. It can be a very beautiful video aesthetically, and it's just visually compelling. Don't worry if it doesn't have a super high budget though. Both these videos are shot without outsourcing to a production company. This one, for example, on the right with the fields is one of our clients that filmed this using one of the cheapest drones available. And that's not me trying to knock the drone that they chose. It's just that you should know that they didn't hire a drone operator or a production company to do the work for them. They just went out into the fields to film it. And this was their first time filming with a drone. So they had no previous filming experience, and it was, it had the really great results. Similarly, the shots that you see on the left, which are of the work floor, is another client of ours, a company called OEM Fabrication, which is a metal company that specializes in building equipment. And this is a brand video that we created for them, but most of these shots are all available by filming with your iPhone. So it's just to say that a lot can be achieved on a very small budget. So during your hybrid and virtual events, these brand videos, which are highly visual and low on text and voice content, are a really, really great addition. After your show has finished or the event is over and you've connected with your prospects at the event, this is the time when you can begin nurturing those long-term relationships. The prospect might already be ready to sign up and purchase your products, or they might still be on their buyer's journey and they need more information and more time. And here is your opportunity to really delight the prospects. You've got them interested, and now you can demonstrate your expertise thoroughly. These videos include how-to expert panels that are having a discussion about your services or products, information or educational videos that tell the story of your products and brand, And here you can afford to make your videos longer. So 5 to 7 minutes, for example. You can include subtitles always, as people tend to do things, two things at once, and often watch videos on their phone without sound. These are your inspiration information videos, and you are trying to touch upon these questions and challenges that your prospect is concerned with, like time, resources, and ROI. This video, for example, is a series that we produce which tackles different markets every month. So this video expresses insight and knowledge on the online environment for the Arab Gulf states, talking about this unique market. It's an example of experts in the field discussing how many people are engaged online and on which platform, what style of websites and what content do they prefer. And this is an example of an educational content video that we hope is right on the mark for those companies that are seeking to enter this new market. So now that you've seen all these different types of videos that you can create, short dynamic social videos for your social media platforms, client testimonials, brand videos for your event presentation, and your longer form education videos afterwards, you should be able to do a inventory in-house and look at your content and see what you have and what you have missing. What do you already have and what content do you need to create to really boost your dynamic and engaging presence in these events? And here are some takeaways. Number one would be to really capitalize on repurposing your content. You might have a lot of content already available. Reuse and repurpose so that you're getting the most out of your video content. Number two is creativity. Any way that you can stand out is highly valuable today. Creativity is the single biggest differentiator for any marketing campaign. You don't want your videos to look the same as your competitors. So be bold and be different, and that will have better results. Number three is always be mobile friendly. And this is obvious, as today everyone is watching videos on their phone. As opposed to a large screen, it's how you reach your customers wherever they are in the world and whatever platform they're using. Obviously, this does depend on the buyer persona and the markets you're trying to reach, but be aware that in some countries like Mexico, people access the internet more on their phones than they do computers. Places like Germany have a higher percentage of mobile connections than people. So this means that a lot of people have multiple phones. This tells you how reliant we all are on our phones, and your prospects will want to consume your content in that way. Number four, subtitles. This is actually in line with number 3 and 5 because people are using their phones to watch content, and they often watch content without sound, meaning you need captions and subtitles to convey your message. And that goes towards making your videos available internationally on different platforms. Finally, the last point, which is visual is often communicating so much more about your brand and business already. And that goes a long way to letting your audiences learn about your brand. Video content is powerful, so you don't have to be afraid to use, experiment, A/B test, and track your metrics like the engagement and the views and see what works for your audience, what your buyer personas are responding to, and then pivot to create more compelling videos according to the results that you're seeing. And I hope this short video session was helpful and informative for your future events as you go into hybrid and virtual events.
Ava, thank you so much. That was a tremendous summary and expose about the strength of videos. And I wanted to launch my third poll, which is what about videos? Are you we talked about content earlier and the necessity of having the best possible interactive content. Videos really fit that bill. If you're interested in learning more about those videos to help grow your business, your brand, business sales, exports, let us know. We can reach out to you or send you any documentation, and we can even send you a video about it. So great, thank you so much for all voting. Wow, we have that was obviously a big success. We're having a lot of people thinking really that they'd like to have more information on it. It really is the key tool to have going forward in 2022 is these videos. Right, I'm going to close this poll and then really get back to the next stage, really just the takeaways, the strategies of the futures. I might do this very quickly as we have a little bit of time left for Q&A. I think there's just a couple of big takeaways about the strategy. The first is really to make sure that you are putting your prospective customer at the center. that whenever you're looking at a trade show, whether it's virtual, hybrid, or whatever, you're taking your customer's point of view. What do they want? How do they access information? This is so important on a virtual or hybrid. It's not about anymore walking the floor. It's about how your customer, your potential customers, your distributors, how they engage with you, how they look at you. And that's going to be with online tools. That is always putting them at the forefront of your thoughts, of your strategy. I guess the next really is just talking about you know, the how to engage. You know, the real nightmare for any event organizer is an audience that doesn't engage. And it's one thing to go to a trade show and you walk around, you know what you're going to have to do. It's not that hard. You want to come home with a huge stack of contacts that you then put into the CRM and then contact. For virtual and online events, you need to engage in a very different way. And you need to be prepared to step forward and actually engage. So event organizers are getting very, or dedicating huge amounts of resources and getting very stressed out but also very inventive about how to make companies and attendees engage better. So expect to see online chat rooms, explainer videos, updates, mobile apps, virtual online matchmaking events, something called gamification. That's big in marketeers' line. It allows attendees to have some serious fun during the event, and you can earn rewards and prizes, and even recognition on the sort of the leaderboard during the events. It's all about trying to get people to engage on the online world, on the online virtual event. So, you know, there's so much you can do on that, but most of all, as a company attending these hybrid events, the important thing is to really just embrace it. Embrace the hybrid. Don't be you know, shy about it, and you will get out of it what you put in. Similar to a face-to-face trade show, if it's all, you know, if you want the best ROI, you need to prepare for it. You need to take it seriously, invest expertise, personnel, cash in it. For the hybrid and virtual events, you need to create a virtual trade booth, and that is not easy. They require quite a lot of expertise and time and investment. You need to engage in these multi-platform, omni-channel areas for the virtual hybrid events. There are multiple contact points as well. There'll be posting videos. You need to have an avatar. You need to have online product videos and demos. You need to be live streaming, and all about great interactive content in order to get the most out of these events. I'm conscious of time, so let's just move on then to the sort of the takeaways that we would like you to keep from this webinar. I guess the first is simply just the scale of the online world today. You know, it's just worth looking at some of these numbers, and obviously the pandemic has really pushed these numbers up again and again. So 61% of the globe, of the Earth's population, 61% of the world's population is online, and they're online for an average of 7 hours. And that's worth thinking about. 4.8 billion people spend 7 hours a day online. So, and look at the shift. You know, it's you know, over just 18 months, it's gone from 4.3 to 4.8. It's gone 56% to 61%. You know, the pandemic has acted as an accelerator, and it's you know, here to stay. And one of the major things that they're doing online, obviously, is communicating. And again, it's even starker here in when you look at the communication. 3.5 billion people in July. Now 4.5 billion people are using social media. Average time spent nearly 2.5 hours. 4.5 billion people a day, 2.5 hours a day on social media. As a small mid-cap company if you're looking to go internationally, this is good news. This is very good news. You know where to find people and how to find people. It's your website and it's your online marketing. It's communication. So just as a primary message from this webinar, yes, we're talking about trade shows and virtual and hybrid, but we're really saying, why do companies need online business development tools? They need these tools because the world is online, and trade shows are now going to be online as well as face-to-face. The face-to-face is not disappearing, but the hybrid is here to stay. So be prepared for that, be ready for that, and if there's anything we can do to help with that, as I said, we do have these online global programs across various US states and the Canadian provinces as well. A lot of that is really about reaching new markets, about growing your brand awareness, your credibility and trust, and really making the internet work for you globally. So how do the programs help you? They help you to reach new markets, as I said, whether that's getting new B2B partners and agents in trade shows, or whether it's if you're a B2C company about consumer influences. These are the tools you need for the trade shows of the future. So just what are the next steps? The next steps are making sure that you have the right toolkit, making sure that you get the internet to work for you globally. So check out our webinars. We'd love to see you back here again. Get your teams together and decide if all of this is the right thing for your company. Do you have the right videos? Do you have the right tools? Do you have the right websites and online marketing to make sure that you are getting the best ROI out of the trade shows of the future? And with that, there's a whole bunch of questions that have come in, and we've left hardly any time. I'm going to sort of throw a couple of questions at you. I think there's a couple for Ava as well, which is just about sort of the platforms that you have in videos. Is there any particular platform that you would use one above the other? Ava?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great question. I think that platforms, as I mentioned, platforms can sometimes be very overwhelming to companies that are just beginning in their video marketing strategy. So they look at all these platforms and they say that, wow, I don't even know how to make, like, what's the big difference between, Twitter and Instagram versus Facebook, LinkedIn, all of these different platforms. And then if you're going international, then it even expands it much further. I mean, you've got so many other social media platforms in China, for example, but these are to be looked at as really, creative opportunities. And it's about knowing the creative constraints for each of those. So knowing that, for example, on Twitter, your video is maximum 2 minutes. Knowing that LinkedIn doesn't allow you to, put in any type of embedded video. It only has native videos. And so you as a company should know your buyer persona, know what platform will work best for you. I would say, of course, companies that are more B2B, it's all about LinkedIn. Companies that are all about selling their products, then they can branch out much more to Instagram, things that are, even more visual and fast paced, which is Instagram, Twitter, if you've got products that you want to release. But it's about knowing which platforms work for where your buyer persona is, and targeting those platforms that your buyer persona is already, using and sitting at.
Ava, thank you very much. I do realize we're really stretching people's patience here as we're on the hour. A quick second question that's come in a couple of different times in different formats, also on the video side. How, basically summing it up, how necessary is it to adapt the videos to international audiences?
In one word, yes, extremely necessary. If you are looking at entering the Mexico market or entering the French market, you're going to have to think about those languages. You have to internationalize, localize your videos for them to be successful. So and once again, key takeaway is to repurpose your content. So it might not be that you need to find a French native speaker, but you could add French subtitles, for example, and that's something that's not too hard to do. Adding Spanish subtitles if you're going into Mexico, etc., or just getting a few native speakers, potentially your distributors as well, if you have distributors in those markets, that could help you out with video content. But localizing is absolutely necessary.
Terrific. All right, we have a lot of other questions. I think given the time, we will reach out to you independently to answer the questions. So we will get that. I wanted to thank my colleagues, Joelle Lazaroto, our Senior Online Marketing Manager, for showing us and walking us through the strategies that you have, the different choices you have, your buyer persona, the buyer's journey, and Ava Mitzia, the Online Video Manager at IBT Online, to talk us through videos and how necessary they are for the future. Thank you both very much, but most of all, thank you, attendees, for taking the time out today. We know you're all webinared out, and we look forward to seeing you in person soon. Now, be safe, be well, and happy exporting, happy trade shows of the future. Thank you all very, very much, and see you on the next webinar. Bye-bye.